Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you are in the world. This is Howie, and I'm here to help you win with money. Today is Tuesday, November 29, 2022. It is a little bit past midnight, almost entering 1 a.m. on the East Coast here in Florida. In today's episode, I'm going to be talking about some of my options trading performance for the last several weeks. I haven't recorded any videos because I've been having some hardware issues. I recognize that I've been using a budget microphone, and after doing some simple research, I realized my kid is using a better microphone than I am. So I decided to order some new equipment, and that's coming by the end of the week. Hopefully I'll learn how to use it and set it up properly. If you're on Facebook, you can join me in Facebook group Investing 102. This is where I do post a lot of my trades. I try to do it 5 or 10 minutes after I do my trades, and I update it. And I will post things that I don't generally talk about in other places. This is where I do a lot of I show my trades. And then I do some teaching, like this slide here. I show some historical pattern of how I got into the trade, how I rode, and then how much I made. But I talk a little bit of everything. It's not just about crypto in here. I talk about 401k plan, I talk about crypto, I talk about real estate. I share a little bit about everything in here. So if you want to see what I'm doing, join me, Investing 102 on Facebook. So let's go straight to E-Trade. As you can see, I normally go to the transaction log. I then filter out by 7 days, hit apply, and then I copy these things into a table in Excel. So let's do that right now. So this is what my Excel looks like, and I normally just copy it like this, and then I massage it, and I add in a few extra columns because I need it to work in my pivot table. Because I already did it, let's just talk about some of the results. We'll hit the save button. We'll go to the top. There you go, my scroll lock is not on. And then I'll come down here. And I'm just gonna make sure all these things are uniform. And then we'll make sure we hit the refresh button. I think everything is done. I did that a few minutes ago. And I think everything is okay. So here, this data is from a pivot table. So it comes from the data that you saw from E-Trade. And then I load everything into here. Then I plug in some other values. And then what that does is, then I come over here. I have a pivot table over here. Hit the refresh. And I grab this data here. And I put that over here. And then I finish plugging this data in. And I already did it, and everything looked like it's good. And this is my running P&L. And I do some projections, and the year is almost over. So the first thing I do is I do compare this year's data against previous year data. So you can see that here. So previous year, right around week 40 something, I was doing much better. And then you can see what happened last year. I had 5-6 losing weeks towards the last 2 months. So I would like to avoid that here. And you'll see my projection of trades. I'm projected about the same number of trades, or I'll hit around 1,500 if I average this much. So that's looking pretty good. So let's talk about what worked and what didn't. And one of the things that you're going to realize is I did take a big loss last week. You can see that here. And it was because I was managing a position before it got worse. Go back to the data here. We'll put a filter on this 234. And then you will see all the data that I have for last week using 234. And it's showing that I made $110. But what's key is, you see how this worked? The subtotal? It showed that I made $4,300 and some odd dollars there. So I want to show you something real quick. 4344 divided by 9500. What that's telling me is how much I made using this strategy for the year. 45% rate of return I'm only using $9,000 of capital. I even did that wrong. I'm using $9,000 in capital. And you'll see I track it, basically this one trade. And if you look at it, I always use a 2, 3, and a 4 for an iron condor. And I've been doing it all year. And if you just scroll back here, so you can see that if you track the value here, let's just scroll to the bottom here. The formulas work when you use subtotals or when you use the count. So if I do something like this, you'll see that'll work. And there you go. This number should be close when you're manually adding it up. So that's what I've been doing. Strategy's been working. I've been doing it. I've been making videos on 2, 3, 4 all year. And what's really incredible about this is my 401k plan on average was down about 20% this year. Right now it's not that bad. It recovered some in the last 5 or 6 weeks. So it's down about 16% or so. Options trading is really wonderful because if you understand it, there's so many ways to play options. You don't have to go long. You don't have to go short. Because of the flexibility of what options trade, you can do a lot of things depending on the market. I've been trading this so that I can reduce risk of a long portfolio of a 401k plan. And so this share is a great example of why you want to do that. Okay, let's talk about some other trades. So let's put a filter on QQQs and see what I've been doing with QQQs lately. And you can see last week I didn't make a lot of money on QQQs. $31. And you'll see if you scroll back up, you will see how many weeks I've been playing the Qs. So I started right around week number 28. And you'll see this is pretty new to me still. Really haven't done much with it. So the Qs on average have been about $3,000. It says I made $168. Oh yeah, you see some of them are weird. Oh no, on average I've been doing either 2 contracts or 3 contracts. And you can see that I started with 2 in the beginning. So my max risk was $2,000, but lately I've been using 3 contracts. But if you do a mathematical average, let's just assume it's somewhere in the middle. So you see that? It's a 6.7% rate of return based on the capital I put up. And that's not bad if you're considering that I only been trading 2 contracts starting on week 28. So less than half a year. I started with 2 contracts. And then somewhere down here, you see that I finally moved it up to about 3 contracts right around week 40. And I'm at week 47. So you can see that this is a good way to measure your rate of return. Real dollars divided by capital at risk. And 6%. Which means, based on the way I'm playing it, I can make 10% a year. Or 11 or 12% a year. Depending on how the math works out. I haven't been really adding a lot of risk because the market's been very risky. It has a lot of 100-point moves. NASDAQ has a lot of moves up and down. So I've been playing it very conservative, but you can see that you can still make money even in a riskier ticket or ticker. So let's find another trade to talk about. So let's talk about another ticker. I'm going to do EA. And this data is, let's just make sure we do the data more accurately. So let's just show what we did for this year. Put a filter on there, and you see when you put all your filters, this will automatically work. So let's just take a quick look at what this is telling us. If you can see, 889 divided by, so I have 100 shares. Let's just use like I don't remember exactly what my cost basis is, but if we use something like this, $13,000. I don't remember if I paid $120 for it or $130, but let's just use $130. So that's $13,000. So you can see this year, just using a single cover call, 6.8% rate of return. Not a lot. And EA's been range bound, so you really haven't lost a lot of opportunity. But again, this is how you can use options for something like this. Let's look at another example. I just put a filter on AMD. And on this one, you can see it's $1,691. My cost basis, I believe, is $80 a share. 200 shares, 16 grand. I think it will be a good, just in options trading alone. Collected about 10% in premiums this year. AMD is really good for that because it does move up and down. And I like it because right now it's not moving in any one direction. It was up like last year. Now it's been on a downtrend. And I've been making a lot of premium just on covered calls because AMD will run up, then it will run back down, run up, then it will correct down. And as long as I don't enter a time where AMD is just running, let's say, all the way up 30, 40 points, then my cover calls will be losing money. But for right now, AMD is still working, so I'm going to keep on playing it. Put a filter on LFIS, Little Fuse. They do circuitries and a lot of stuff for cars and fuses and stuff like that. I do own 100 shares. And again, my cost basis is about, I think this one is like $215. 100 shares. And again, if you look at this one doesn't have a lot of volume for trading, so it's really hard to get in and out. So again, I'm not going to make a lot of it because sometimes it doesn't have the, and you can't even do weekly on these. These are only monthly contracts because this is a holding that not a lot of people own. But you can see I can still write cover calls on it, and I roll up, I roll down. You can see that here. So it's been fairly consistent. Again, another 8 or 9% just in options trading using this particular ticker. So you see, I do that a lot with many tickers. I'm not going to show you all of them, otherwise this video would be a little bit too long, but you can see how I constantly can make money. To bring this video to an end, I'm going to come back to this view. I only have 5 more weeks of trading left, and I really want to protect some of my gains. I want to try to avoid a situation that I had last year where everything was so well, and then literally in the course of 8-9 weeks, I basically lost a lot of my gains. Still made money, but not as much as I want. So this year, I'm learned from that. I'm going to take a little bit more precaution. While markets were down today, I expect that the market's going to be a little bit more volatile. It can move 2% up or 2% down. So I want to make sure I play a little bit more conservative for the next 4 to 5 weeks, lock in a lot of my profits, collect some small winners when I can, and try to finish the year on a really good note that will set me up for the next year. This year I showed how $9,000 of capital, I produced so far 48% rate of return just using one type of iron condor. Basically, I repeated the same strategy over and over and over. And I did that for the whole year. So I wanted to know, do you want me to continue that sort of challenge for 2023? Because I know some of you are new viewers and you haven't been following along. Or would you like to see something different? Let me know, comment below. I'll try to figure it out. I got another 4 weeks, 5 weeks to figure it out. But with that being said, hey, thanks for watching. As always, let's do this together. Let's do this $1 at a time. Have a profitable day. Bye-bye.